Good afternoon, all. Today we are going to discuss with respect to our topic, that's the green side of the precast concrete. So, when we look around, much of the constructed world we live in, it is made up of the concrete. The concrete is universal. You can find everywhere for n number of the reasons. It can be of many reasons. So, like man-made stone, the concrete is strong, durable, serviceable, and so on. So it's the most common building material I can say in the world. So other forms of the concrete is a precast concrete. So there is an increasing demand for the construction options that will contribute to achieve the sustainable development. So nowadays, precast structures are preferred as a quality control and speed of construction as they are vastly greater than the normal cast in situ construction. So let us check what exactly the precast concrete is. So precast concrete, it is a form of concrete which is prepared and it is casted, cured in the manufacturing plant with the controlled environmental conditions by using the reusable molds. Then it is being shipped to the construction site for the installation purpose. Coming to the brief history, let us check how exactly the precast came into picture. As we know, few years ago, the precast concrete it came into picture, but the process that resembles the precast concrete, it been used thousands of years ago by ancient Romans. So here you can see a few, I took some examples in the ancient Roman period structures, which is a Colosseum at Italy and Aqueduct of Segovia, it is at Spain. Although the chemical makeup was different, but the process closely resembles the precast concrete. The ancient Romans used forms in order to create beams, columns, and other structures that are still standing today. The ability of the concrete, that is the same piece over and over again, we are going to construct it. And it is used for the many purposes. One of the purposes can be aesthetic purpose. So we can see the consistent dimensions here also. In the ancient Romans period, we can see the consistent dimensions, right? So this consistent dimensions can be achieved by the precast concrete. This is one more structure which has been constructed. This is a cottage. John Alexander Brodie. He is a British civil engineer. He's from Liverpool, England. He constructed a cheap cottage by using a precast technique, and he set it for the exhibition at Letchworth Garden City. This happened in 1905. Now let us check the history timeline. What is the development, how the precast actually came to this world? Now we are moving on the major development of the precast, pre-stressed concrete. So, in 1886, Jackson of USA, he introduced the concept of tightening steel rods in artificial stone and concrete arches. The arch form was a very popular structural form. It is used in different types of the structures, in the building, in bridges. What Jackson actually did was, he introduced a steel rod within the arch and increased its capacity by tightening the steel rod. The arch itself is in compression. It's already in compression. But if we introduce a steel rod on it and tighten it, the compression is further increased. And hence the capacity of the arch also increased. Next, in the year 1888, Doring of Germany, he manufactured the concrete slabs and small beams. These small beams, he introduced an embedded tension steel. At that time, we can see that there was an improvement in the reinforced concrete. Like in the reinforced concrete, the steel was just introduced in the concrete. But Now the inventors were tightening the steel rods in order to increase the capacity. So this happened at this time period. In 1908, the strainer of USA, he recognized the losses due to the shrinkage and the creep. Actually, this was a major turn to understand the problem of reduction of the effective pre-stress with the time. The phenomenon of this creep and shrinkage, it was identified, and the strainer suggested retightening the rods recover the loss of pre-stress after certain time. In 1923, Emperor of Austria, he developed a method of winding and pre-tensioning. This high tensile steel wires, he incorporated it around the concrete pipe. During the industrial development of this 20th century, concrete became a very popular construction material. Different types of innovative techniques were being developed in order to increase their capacity. The winding of steel wire around the concrete pipes and tensioning the steel wires to check their cracking was actually an instance of pre-stressing the concrete pipes with the tension steel wires. So next, going further, in 1924, Hibbett of USA, who stressed the horizontal reinforcement around the walls of the concrete tank. Though the use of the turnbuckles, see, through this turnbuckles, what they are going to do, they are going to stress it out. So it is basically based on the concept of pre-stressing a barrel. As we know the example of the pre-stressing barrel, we are going to explain it in further slides. And here we can see that the concrete tanks were being developed with pre-stressing and some devices with the help of these devices, like a turnbuckles. They use these devices in order to pre-stress. So these turnbuckles, they are the device used to tighten and reinforcement of the which is around the concrete tanks. Okay. Over the period, thousands of liquid storage tanks and the concrete pipes were built in. As the industrial production of the concrete that is increasing, we observe that the application of this pre-stressing is also increasing as a time period. So next, in the year 1925, Brill of USA, he used high-strength unbonded steel rods. The concept of unbonded means that there was no bond or there was no physical stress. Means the stress has to get transferred between the steel and the concrete. That interface was not existing. The transfer of stress was only at the end of that particular element. The reason of using unbonded steel rod was that the rods could be tensioned and anchored after hardening of the concrete, and they could be again tightened so as to counteract the drop, or you can see the loss in the pre-stress. As the pre-stressing process, there is we can observe the loss, but this is an advantage over there. So next, in the year 1926, Eugene Freyssinet of France, he used the high tensile steel wires. You can see that he used the steel which is of ultimate strength, which is very high. The ultimate strength of these steel wires are very high. You can think of like 1725 megapascal. So it is very huge compared to the normal reinforced concrete. So this is a much higher value than the reinforcement compared to this conventional. So the yield strength of this is also very high. It comes around, it is almost more than 1200 megapascal. So from this, the reinforced concrete, we can understand that this is a very substantially very high yield stress, and with this type of high strength tensile steel, we can make a study on the development of the pre-stressed concrete is possible. So next, in the year 1938, okay, before that I just want to add on one more point. In 1939, the Eugene Freyssinet, he developed the conical wedges for the end anchorages. In the post-tensioning, we have seen the end anchorages, right? Which is developed by using the double acting jacks. So the pre-stressed concrete The precast concrete is as an industrial product. It needs more equipments. It's an industrial product, right? In the industries, what we see, we can see the much more equipments, the devices. So what he did, he used these all equipments, the pre-stressing force and the transferring this pre-stressing force from the steel to the concrete. For this, all the devices he developed at that time. President developed and he patented also these devices like the jacks, anchorages, which are used in applying the pre-stressing on the concrete members. President actually he is referred as a father of the pre-stressed concrete. So next in 1938, the Heuer of Germany, he developed the long line pre-tensioning method. This method, it can be compared with the line of assembly, like assembly line method. In the manufacturing of the cars, you can think of it. This is one of the industrial shed, or it's just one complete line where several n number of the precast members can be produced. This technique was used to produce pre-tensioned transmission poles for the electric lines. Next, in 1940, Magnel of Belgium, he developed an anchoring system for post-tensioning using the flat wedges. As I have mentioned before, right, that the pre-stressed concrete needs more equipment and the devices. The development of anchoring system, which helps in transferring the pre-stress from the steel to the concrete, was a major turn here in pre-stressed concrete, because it is a successful behavior of the anchors which can lead to the transfer of the pre-stress to the concrete. So now during the Second World War, the application of this pre-stress and the precast concrete, it increased rapidly. Mass production of the concrete has taken place at this period, and the concept of the precast concrete, in the sense, it is not casting in the construction site. The concept here means it is actually casting in different place in order to achieve the better quality under the controlled environment. So this is all about. And next, in the year 1952, the FIP, which is at Europe, FIP in the sense the International Federation for the Pre-Stressing was established. This is one of the professional organization in Europe. Actually, the precast standards has to be set by some of the organizations. So FIP was introduced in the Europe, and in the similar way, in the United States of America, the Precast or the Pre-Stressed Concrete Institute, that is a PCI, was established in the year 1954. Okay, this is the history timeline till next. Let us see the development of the precast. After the invention of the reinforced concrete, the very next step was the invention of the precast elements. Okay, once the reinforced concrete has been invented, the next step is they started up with the precast elements, prefabrication, and the great advantages also can be seen with respect to the cast in situ concrete with respect to the quality, speed, health, and the safety. So the precast systems were also, we can call it as a solid precast system. Okay, as when we are going to construct or connect these elements with the help of the grouting, welding, or the bolting is done. So starting in the beginning, these systems were used to build very uniform apartment buildings. Okay, because flexible molds for solid parts were not available. So they are like middle of the 90s this being invented. So these solid precast systems has advantages as well as the limitations. The limitation was you have to construct the uniform buildings with a uniform ground plans. Okay, and high-rise buildings also you should have the limitation with respect to that because of the high seismic loads. Okay, so only one of the advantages we can see at this time is a industrial principle. Okay, which is the production process of the buildings, which is quality oriented. Okay, so next, the development of this industrial precast system took place in the actually in the year 1965 to 1985. So actually in the middle of the 60s, what happened? The lattice girder was developed and is used as a precast product. Actually, this was a starting point for the industrial production of the precast plant. and we can say that this is in the broader basis. Okay, in the broad end of the manufacturing, this was a lattice girder has been started. So I just have to show the picture. These are the lattice girders for the precast concrete elements. And the production units, when you see the production unit at the starting period, it was very simple. Okay, it consisting of most of the fixed beds in the open areas, and basic production production were taking place, and there was a tower crane in the open space, or even you can say the overhead crane. And these are the important tools at that period in the production zone. Next, the development of the double wall took place, and like if we look into a further development, there was a need to optimize the building process, and we want to cut down the work at the building site. So that was their main intention, and along with that, they are looking for the increase in the quality of the product and the buildings. So in the years between 1980 to 1985, in this 5 years of period, the half precast wall, which is also called as a twin wall, it's been invented and even it is introduced in the market. The next coming, there was a development you can see in the industrial precast system at the year 1985 to 2005. So this was the second phase of the development, as it was characterized by the two inventions. One is the development were on one hand, that is the personal computer in connection with the CAD, that is a computer aided design systems, in order to generate electronic data of the product, and on the other hand, the PLC control system. What is the PLC control system here is? It is a programmable logic controller. Here, this is used in order to control the automated machines. Okay, so these developments it was possible and implemented in the automated machine. For example, I can tell an example for the automated machines, like for example, plotters, the concrete spreaders. So these been adopted into the production process, and they were controlled by this CAD data. What the CAD data is that is controlled by that. Production process was completely controlled by that. So in the same period, the CAD, the control production was introduced, and now it's possible to reduce the man hours, like almost 2/3 as compared to the manual production on the beds. So simultaneously, the quality of the product was improved. We can make out a judge like the surface when you see with respect to the edges. So now the step-by-step automated machines were added to the production process. For example, automated production of the reinforcement like mesh welding machines, demolding and molding robots, laser projection, automated concrete spreaders, and master computer systems in order to they are there in order to guide and control the overall production process. Okay, next, since 2005, with the upcoming years, from the 2000, there has been a number of developments dealing with the digitalization and networking of the production. Actually, these methods are already used, but not on the broad scale and not in every country. Now, let us check the methods and the concepts which has been adopted by them. So, I think many of you have heard regarding the BIM. It's a building information modeling. From few of the years, everyone has been talking about the term BIM. But BIM is short form of the building information modeling, and is basically deals with the exchange of the data and the information for the design, construction, and maintenance of the building. By letting all the employees who are working under a particular project, they were involved into the one axis, right, of the same data. The particular project someone is working, they are going to connect it with the same data. So BIM mainly ensures that this data consistency. Its main job is the data consistency. With this, we can think of the saving time and the money. If any of the person involved in changes of the data, this is immediately visible for all others who involved in the project. And by this, the mistakes can be prevented. That's the main thing. So the mistakes means the repetition work is avoided, right? Next one is on Industry 4. So this is one of the terms that is exclusively it's been used in the industry. Okay. So here the automated machines were used in the production process, where we can see the connection of the machines, plants with each other, and even with the internet. Okay, and some of this principle, this almost we can call this type as a smart factory. Okay, where everything like it's been connected and the internet is there, so it is updated to the next level. Next, that's a paperless production. Later, in addition to that, some efforts have been made to reduce the utilization of the paper in the production of precast concrete elements. Data, which has to be transferred only digitally, okay, they have planned like that in the future, and printing shouldn't be a necessary part. So this is actually advisable for environmental as well as for the economic reasons. Okay. Moreover, most recent plans are available at any time. Uh, Before we get into the precast concrete, let us understand what the concept of the precast concrete is. So the concept of pre-stressing existed before the applications in the concrete. Two such examples we have. One is the force fitting of the metal bands on the wooden barrels. So this type of the barrels are used to transport the liquid, oil, or you can say different types of the grains. Now, what the pre-stressing does in the metal bands, it creates a hoop compression around the barrel. So when the barrel is filled with the liquid tries to create a hoop tension. So the hoop compression created by the metal band is going to counteract the hoop tension. Then the hoop tension which is created by this liquid, when you are going to fill the liquid, obviously the hoop tension is created. That is counteracted by the this metal bands. So pre-tensioning of the spokes is the one more example. Pre-tensioning of the spokes in the bicycle wheel. Here you can see that the bicycle wheel and each of these spokes is pulled and tightened. This pre-tension is done into such an extent that there will always be one kind of a residual tension, I can say. Residual tension will be present in the spoke. So when the rider, he rides it, okay, rides the cycle. What's the weight it creates is a compression, right? It is a compressing in the spokes. So hence, due to the original tension and this tension is completely higher than the compression, right? So that comes into picture, and in each of the spokes there will be a residual tension also. So this concept was applied in the concrete. Okay. We'll see a few of the precast elements. The precast panels, it can be molded for a variety of functions. For that, we can find all types of the precast components in all the building types. So these are the few precast elements. Okay. The precast elements in all building types is the industrial, including the industrial unit superstructures. You can see these precast units, the bridges and the flyovers, hospitals, and the residential homes. So what exactly here? The formwork is the other name for the mold, which provides the method used to create this precast concrete. The concrete is poured in and is supported by the formwork until it is strong enough to stand alone. So each unit, it can be manufactured to meet the architect's or the engineer's requirement. And for example, you have a beam here. So precast concrete beams, they are an integral feature of many buildings today. So they are particularly suited to the floor construction in the houses, flats, and the commercial buildings, and they provide a low cost flooring solution. So when we go ahead with the columns, with both strength and flexibility, precast concrete columns add strength and flexibility and increase the life of any building. So columns can be made to the architect's design and incorporate any special features or the fittings. These columns can be erected as much as 5 times faster, okay, like faster than the normal conventional or the in situ methods of concrete production. So the labor saving can be seen here. A high quality finish can be achieved, and further they can be erected at night even in the residential areas because there is none of the noise associated as we are not making the concrete on the site. And coming to the walls, you can see the shear walls, the partition walls. So precast concrete panels can be used for both the exterior and the interior surfaces. They provide strength and lateral stability. And when it is assembled, okay, assembled can form a shear wall. So using wall panels and building them up in the most common method which has been used, and here you can consider that the lateral post resistance can be determined at this point. So they may been using this building project as high as, means you can increase the height of building with the 30 stories and more than that. Okay, the panels, the panels we can see here, it can fit together easily, and the design can be incorporated by fixing the machines and all. So partition walls made from the precast concrete can be lifted into the position, and this type of the assembly can be as much as the 6 times quicker. Okay, when you compare it with the alternative brickwork. The panels are particularly suited for the sound insulation, thus suitable for the use in hotels, kitchens, hospitals, schools, and apartments, especially when you are really interested to have a privacy. The degree of the privacy is required when that is at the utmost point. This is preferable. So they also act as an excellent fire retardant, and the thicker the panels, the greater the level of protection offered. So precast concrete panels also have good resistance to moisture. So they are suitable in the bedrooms, bathrooms, and kitchens. So partition wall plastering is not required here as the surface is already finished. And these panels are very strong that we can hang up the fittings also. So further, the precast products include the reinforced concrete pipe, load-bearing precast elements, foundation walls are there. Sound few I have mentioned here. The sound barrier walls, retaining walls, floor and the roof slabs, architectural panels will be there, paving elements will be there. So modular housing, manholes, box culverts, you can have utility boxes, and the septic tanks, treatment plants, bridges, piers, like tunnels. These all precast elements are available. Now next, coming to the manufacturing stages. So we can see the different stages here. Stage 1 is an engineering. Stage 2 is a manufacturing the reinforcement cage. Stage 3 is a form preparation and the pre-pour inspection. Stage 4 is a concrete placement. Stage 5 is a curing and the stripping. And stage 6 is a post-pouring. Okay. The process always it starts with the engineering. So every product is engineered or designed by using the latest tools, and design drawings are created by using the 3D computer aided design process. Once the design drawings are approved, they are sent to the factory form and used up to mark the production stage. Okay. Now the next stage is now to assemble the rebar cage. The first step is the process. In this process is the cutting and bending the steel reinforcement. The correct rebar is selected, then it is cut and bent to the exact dimensions needed in order to meet the design requirements. Then the bars are assembled, then tightened together with the binding wires to form a reinforcement cage. You can also see the rebars with the wheel chairs are used to position the cage within the form in order to ensure the proper clearance of the reinforcing. Once the stage assembly is complete, we can begin to prepare and clean the form. Once it's been done, you can easily clean it up, right? So next we have the stage 3. The precast manufacturing unit, it consists of variety of steel forms. So at this time, you can see openings, cut downs, they are secured to form, and the greasing, it is done on each surface and to ensure that the final product can easily lift it from the form. So now as the form is prepared, the overhead crane is used in order to pick and place the crane into the core of the form. The care is taken in order to ensure the reinforcement edge is stable for the transport to form. Once the setup is complete, a certified quality control technician will conduct a pre-pour inspection now to ensure the conformance with the approved shaft drawing. What the drawing is being sent, that's a shaft drawing. Okay. So upon the satisfactory completion of this inspection, the technician is going to sign off and flag is going to show the green signal that you can go ahead with the next step. So this is an approval to place the concrete. The next is a stage 4. The precast manufacturing unit utilizes the certified raw material sources such as in cement, coarse aggregate, sand, and chemical admixtures, which is carefully selected and mixed as per the specific design requirements. The plant will be with the concrete, it will be with the setup that the laboratory setup, concrete laboratory setup will be existing, which is used to conduct the like a routine raw material testing will be going on, and the quality control will be there for each of the batch. So this is especially important using the high flow self consolidated concrete SSC concrete. This is self consolidated one. The lab collects the sample cylinders and check the strength parameters and verify quality of each batch. Once the material is finalized, the self compacted concrete undergoes variety of tests including the spread test to to verify the mix has proper flow or low segregation of the aggregates. The approved batch is transported with a bucket which is connected to an overhead crane to the product form on the production floor. So concrete is placed into the form from all the location, and care is taken to allow the concrete to flow without entrapping the air voids. So that is very important. And once the form is filled, the top of the form is it's been squeezed off, and specified finish is applied over there. Once the concrete is placed, then the curing process begins. This may include like topping the product overnight in order to capture the heat from the hydration process. The controlled environment of the precast factory enables the product to properly cure and reach the design strength. And once the quality check technician confirms that the product has reached the design strength, then the stripping process may begin. So this involves opening the outer jacket, like attaching the lifting devices, moving the product to the form. And once the product been removed and cleaned, the post-pour inspection has been conducted. So the next we are going with the post-pour inspection, and the quality control technique cross checks. The technician is going to cross check as the design dimensions being maintained, and then he is going to sign up with respect to that. All the parameters, if it is met, he is going to sign up. Then precast product is labeled on the product. Okay, it is labeled and transported to the site, and care is taken to make sure it is stored in a proper place. As the product meets the customer demand, so when the customer is ready to receive the order, the product is loaded on the truck and probably tied for the shipping and for the delivery. Okay, this is the manufacturing stages. So when we overall watch the picture, what the explained in that, this is the manufacturing unit. In a one complete slide, I tried up showing all the process which has been carried out. Then let me take an example how the precast concrete wall is made. So the what the manufacturing process in that only where in the industry what is going to take place, that I have explained. I have shown this in the slide. Here the resource preparation or the form work being done and the rebar work is carried out. In the form work, normally the rebar work has been purely carried out in one place, and then we have going to check with the reinforcement. The bending is checked, the dia is checked, and then in the formwork is made prepared, and the greasing or the oiling is done. Now after that, the cage is placed carefully here. Okay, then you can see the chairs have been provided for the proper spacing, and then the concrete, this concrete work being taken place. It's poured in, and and then later the formwork is removed. The same process it goes with respect to all the products. Just I have taken an example of the precast concrete wall here. So at the end, there will be a little touch-up work is also being done. If there is any damage, a touch-up work is checked, and the inspection and the stock, and later it will be a transportation and the installation. Next, we are going to check with the comparative study of the conventional and the precast concrete. So here we are comparing with respect to the in situ or the poured-in or the precast concrete. The mass reactance of this reinforced concrete, it causes a balance between the extreme temperatures, temperature changes, because it slows down the cooling or the heating up of the rooms. So this means that the warmth of this one second, hold on. Okay. The warmth of this day, it will be stored and released. So what exactly here is going on is how you are going to prepare it. So when you are going to excavate or in the on-site or excavate the land which is needed, so what exactly needed, how much it is needed, that much only we are going to excavate it in the precast. But in the cast in situ or the board, it requires an extra excavation part where we have to place it. So extra shuttering part should be there. So extra space is required over there. So when coming to the weather conditions, okay. So here the precast, it uses a controlled environment where compared to this cast in situ, means where the construction is going to take place. You can expect the rain, you can expect the cold weather, or different conditions can be expected. But as in the precast, we can see that it's a controlled weather conditions, and with that we will be able to in that control environment we can expect the high strength. So the next parameter is the strength. So when we adhere to the strength before leaving the plant, so the consistency can be achieved, and the desired strength can be achieved in the precast, as we are going to have a monitored workplace over there. But in the cast in situ, it's very difficult because of the temperature, wind, humidity, the n number of the natural reasons. We won't be able to get that desired strength, or the final strength is not achieved as per the expectations, right? Then quality control. Again, the controlled environment plays a major role here with respect to the quality control, as the one second. So here in the we have a fixed laboratory in the firm, right? In the firm itself, we have the fixed laboratory where each and every stage or each and every step of the manufacturing process, we are going to have a check. We are going to have check with the quality, and we can control it with the different parameters. So this is all regarding that. And coming to the economy, usually it is a heavy section we can expect in the in the poured in like cast in situ, and precast we can go ahead with the cast smaller sections. We can expect the smaller sections. So many places like the shear reinforcement is required, and here the shear reinforcement is not required. So n number of the points are here for about the difference between the conventional and the non-conventional. And coming to the safety part, okay, coming to the safety part here, um, the precast is, we can consider the precast to be more safer because it is done in the controlled environment, and the manpower is trained in such a way that it will be more safer, and cast in place person, the unskilled labor, it won't be able to expect and predict those points. Coming to the advantages, you can plan out for the controlled factory and factory efficiency, versatility, and all. So precast concrete, in the precast concrete, elements are manufactured in the controlled casting environment, and hence it is easier to control the mix and placing and curing. Elements can be cast in advance, and it is held until an hour, and it also saves time. The weather conditions, it has no effect on this casting work. Mm, whereas, and when compared to the quality control also, we can have the controlled and the maintained easily. And as per the cost perspective, the precast concrete is cheaper form of the construction. And for example, for the large structures, it should be constructed. It is comparatively cheaper, and maintenance cost of the precast concrete of the structure is higher. Okay. And coming here is the precast concrete, which is the requirement with respect to the worker and the like machinery. Less labors are required. Skilled labors are required at the construction site. Skilled and the technical contractor is required here in the construction site. Heavy machineries are required. These all things are the advantages. And coming to the strength parameter, so precast concrete construction is quick as it is installed immediately, and you shouldn't wait to check whether it has gained strength or not. And the increase in the strength can be achieved by the curing, that is an accelerated curing, with the increased speed of the curing. And on-site strength, it is not required at the precast concrete. So high strength concrete has been used because of its controlled condition. So this is one of the major advantage we can tell. And coming to the disadvantages, whenever, like, if not properly handled, the precast units, it may be damaged during the transport. It becomes very difficult to produce a satisfactory connections here between the precast members, and it is necessary to arrange the special equipment, okay, for lifting and in order to move the precast units. And coming to the economy can be achieved in the precast construction. It is like partially balanced by the amount which is to be spent in the transport and for handling of the precast members. It becomes therefore necessary to locate the precast factory at such a place that the transport and handling charges are brought down to the minimum possible extent. So if once the element it's been damaged and it's very difficult to repair, so that is the one major disadvantage here. And what makes the precast concrete so durable? The primary ingredients of the concrete here, you can see the cement, sand, gravel. Okay, when it is mixed with the water, the cement, these are all mineral based, right? When it is mixed, when we are going to mix it with the water, the cement chemically reacts now to create a crystalline matrix. So it in sense, we are going to get one high compressive strength, right? The matrix, it binds the sand and the gravel together by creating the concrete. So unlike other construction materials, the concrete here is not going to rust, rot, or otherwise degrade when it is in presence of the moisture. But the concrete is it's very stronger. So if there is any unhydrated cement particles is available not to react with the water, so it's going to get into that process. Now, the precast concrete, is it different from the other types of the concrete? Yeah, the precast concrete is different because it is made in a factory by highly experienced persons who apply the quality and the control measures. So in the factory environment, precasters are able to achieve consistency in the temperature, and moisture and low water cement ratios, that is which is not possible in the field actually where you are going to fabricate the concrete. So precast concrete can easily attain the high strength with the densities that minimize the permeability. Is the next question is the precast concrete is energy efficient? Okay, the materials what we are going to use here, it says to be the energy efficient. The thermal mass of the precast concrete absorbs and releases the heat slowly. So shifting air conditioning and heating loads to allow the smaller, more efficient heating and ventilating and air conditioning systems. So insulation is often used here in the architectural panels. And you have also the thing of this in the left, you can see the sandwich wall panels. Now to increase the thermal efficiency with the continuous insulation in the walls being possible. So by adopting this, the savings of around 25% of the heating and cooling cost, it can be reduced if you can save it. The next question is precast a green building material? The precast concrete contributes green building practices in many different ways. So the first is the low water cement ratios and is possible with the precast concrete when it has a range of 0.36 to 0.38, and it is when this values comes into picture, that time we can say that it is extremely durable. Next, the thermal mass of the concrete allows the shifting of heating and cooling loads. This happens in the structure in order to help to reduce this mechanical system requirement. The thermal mass concrete is helpful. Okay. Next, as the concrete is factory made, we can see a little waste created in the plant. So most of the plants adopt the batching technologies, right? So we can expect a very little waste, and thus it reduces the construction waste and the debris on the site. Eliminate the redundant members. That is, the load carrying capacities is optimized, means the cross sections is optimized and long spans possible with the precast concrete members, which in turn help to eliminate the redundant members. And you can recycle this. The precast concrete can be readily accommodated, and it's one of the recycled content. So further, let us check how we can say the precast to be green. So minimal processing means less energy usage. So here what the materials we are going to use for the precast concrete, it is the natural and the recycled materials, especially the inorganic. So where these components are rather is what the materials we are using here, it's being somewhat it is chemically treated, and nearby in the local areas it's being considered with the low embodied energy. So what exactly the embodied energy? Embodied energy means here the embodied energy is consumed by all the processes associated with the production of the building, from the mining and processing. That is what the embodied energy means. Here, what we are going to do is we are going to consider the materials which is locally like 250 miles around. So those materials we are going to consider, and the embodied energy is the energy which is consumed by all the process like associated with the production of the building, from the mining, it can be a processing of like natural resources, manufacturing, transport, all it includes. This all energy what you are talking about, what I'm talking about is an embodied energy. So here the what the fuel we are going to use, what the energy we are going to use, that is what embodied energy. So here the less energy usage means the local materials being considered here. And coming to the transportation cost, because of the transportation, you can think of that the carbon footprint, okay, the carbon dioxide emission, it will be more. So when we consider the area to be less for the transportation of the particular materials, so that can reduce the carbon footprint, and we can say that it is in eco-friendly kind. So we are not required to import it from the thousands of miles of away. We are not going to take the materials or the products from there. Uses the cementitious materials for the cementitious materials. See here, normally in the precast, what they are going to do is they are going to replace the cement. They are going to because of the cement production, the carbon dioxide emission is more. So instead of the cement, we are going to use the other materials like a fly ash, slag. These are all the materials we are going to use and the percentage replacement is done with respect to the cement. So overall, when the concrete comes into picture, the reduction of the cement has been done, and with respect to that, what the carbon emissions, that energy can be reduced at this point. So this all, when there is a less usage of the carbon and all, at that time we can think of the certifications. With respect to that, what exactly the certification is? LEED is the one, that is a leadership in energy and the environmental design. This is one of the green rating systems. So we have to set one thing, right? So any product we are going to consider, it can be from the local labor made, or it can be from the standard with the standardization. So how we can consider that, if we can call it as to be green? Okay, there is some standard rating system. So the United States Global Building Council, they have set this LEED. The LEED is energy and the environment. This is one of the rating system. So it's according to that, this carbon emission, the carbon emission, less of this carbon emission or the energy which lesser we are going to use it, it's being considered. So it's going to promote the conservation and the recycling. So water, maximum in more of the plants, we can say that 100% of the water is recycled. Okay, in the construction site, we can say that 100% is being recycled. So recycling in the sense, concrete is like with respect to the wood and the steel, it's very difficult. So here, with respect to other materials like the steel, the 100% can be done here also. The water also recycled 100%. The steel also has been recycled 100%. And as the wastage is less, you can expect the less landfills. So again, the same, the pollution can be reduced with respect to that. So think small and the think big here exactly means, think small means if you have a small wastages, how it can be reused. In the manufacturing plant, there are different ways how to be utilized it. Okay, this is how we can eliminate all the wastes. So from this, we can make out that by using this, we can, the precast plants and all the manufacturing, the units and all, the noise pollution, like different kinds of the negative impacts to the environment can be reduced. So again, when we talk about the sustainability, here, whenever the precast, like many of the studies have been investigated, and they have been informed as per the reducing waste, and this benefits can be achieved through the use of this lean production philosophy, like the sustainable development. These benefits include the reduce of the waste, lead time, inventory, and improved efficiency. Because of this rising recognition of this global climate change, we can say that the like lean production philosophy and the environmental sustainability is favorable. So industry can play a sustainable profile over there, and the carbon emission reduction also plays a very important role over here. So in the controlled environment, so a maximum strength is also achieved, and the minimum energy consumption is also achieved. So it makes the sustainability easier to consider that the lead points are the rating points. There are some credit points which being placed by the lead, so that can be considered. Next, as you are repeating the elements or the products from the multiple times, so here the wastage and the energy and the time consumption will be reduced. From this, the sites will be much more cleaner as we are not using it in the construction site. Sound, these all problems can be get rid of it. The construction waste here in the site, it is not generated and it appears to be pretty clean. And the thing is the noise pollution, as we are not constructing it in the site, the noise levels will be reduced. So here in the precast, almost maximum can be reused and reallocated. So it can be, if the structure is dismantled, that the same model can be used in order to make an extension or to create a new structure. So in the many of the countries, you can see the barriers. It can be replaced easily. It can be used and can be replaced. It can be reused for the other where the construction is going to take place. So it is also acts as a weatherproof when you have a very bad weather or a storms. So when this blown, so often this acts because of its strength and the durability, because of its compact nature. We can say that it is like weatherproofing, like fire and burning is also not, it's not going to affect it. So any climatical changes is not going to impact on this precast elements. So this is to be very stronger, and it have a lifespan more compared to the conventional. So we can say that the durability and this long service life, we can say that it will last for many generations. So with the high pressure water jetting or in the maintenance, we can say that this the natural because of this energy and natural resources during the lifetime of this product, we can compare this with the other materials and we can say that it moves to a longer range. It moves to a longer range, and it even conserves the energy. So when I talked about the embodied energy, is the same where like the floor slabs and all, it's being used. Whenever we talk about the precast here, whenever you planned of constructing with the precast, it means that it's some points you have already grabbed it out. For the green rating system, it is almost, when you plan for the precast, it is 23 points. It's a number. You are going to get it. What exactly these points are, I'm going to explain it. And you have a very long life benefits over here with respect to this. As this because of this precast units or the aggregate blocks, what we are going to use, or the air entrained concrete we are going to use, it is going to absorb this carbon dioxide, and which has been released in the atmosphere. It's going to absorb it, and by curing over the time, we can this carbonation process can take place. So this is regarding emerging the technology, the new technologies being adopted, like for the wind turbines and all, and it helps to reduce the urban heat island effect. Actually, if you are going to use a light colored concrete finishes, at that time the concrete normally this heating effect, it is the green particles it tries to absorb, but the concrete pavements and all, it reflects and heat it gets increases. So because of the light colored concrete finishes, like the pavement and the roof tiles also, this reflects more of the sunlight and the heat than the darker surface. If you opt for the lighter colors, so at that time it can reduce this heat island effect, and even because of this, the energy can also be reduced. The energy cost, it can be reduced. And coming to the versatile products for the sustainable construction, So when we are going to talk about this is regarding the green rating system, that is the LEED. So how we are going to achieve these LEED points? And here their panels has been used for the to show it as thermally it is versatile for the heating and the cooling cost. And the precast is the one where you can achieve any, you can think of the any of the structure and you can plan it of constructing because of its the fabrication can be done at the sites because of its coloring, its finishes, and its styles. You can plan for the any kind of an architecture. In the transport system also it's been used and it's going to improve the quality of the life. So as we can think of it, it is going to give a very comfort indoors and comfortable in the sense the occupants who are staying there without like spending much of like the maintenance cost. The maintenance cost can reduce like after the structure. The reduction, there is a much more reduction in the maintenance cost. There are few examples with respect to that. Mm, it is like uh, the temperatures. It helps to create one healthy indoor living because of this temperature. Normally, we spend much with respect to the air conditioning, heating and cooling systems, right? So many people may struggle with the means like fewer dust mites, like because of this respiratory disorders, it may trigger the asthma and all. So because of this, it is not going to entertain this volatile organic compounds. So this is normally not affected by the precast. That is, I told you this as a, it acts as a sound barriers kind. So we can use this for the to reduce the noise pollution. How we are going to protect the environment? So, like, see, coming to the when coming to the groundwater contamination and all, when we are going to place this the tunnels, the water tunnels and all. So at that time, this has a very least leakage point. So as because of its strength and the resilience properties, you can make out that this product is much more stronger enough and it will not contaminate the groundwater by these kind of structures, the underground structures. And coming to this, it reduces the risk of the flooding in the sense the pavement or the precast elements what we are going to use here is a porous concrete pavers. So whenever it floods, um, the water it will drained out, okay, and it moves to the soil and cleaning up is also very easier compared to the other form of the concrete because it's of the high quality surface it has and it is not going to rot or it's not going to deteriorate with respect to the other materials. So it is little lesser and it is easy to and the time and the cost also it is saved with respect to the precast concrete. Okay, and as I told before that it's not going to leach any of the harmful chemicals into the water because water is the one where it has to be placed in one of the good quality and inert quality where the safe drinking water should be there. So this is not going to leach any of the harmful chemicals. So by this green building, we can reduce the energy, like the percentage of reduction will be like 24 to 50% of the energy use can be reduced and 33 to 39% of the carbon emissions can be reduced. And coming to the water use, up to 40%, you can reduce the usage of the water. And the solid waste, it is 70% of the solid waste can be minimized. Okay, it can be recycled. And coming to the green building rating system, this is the one which I was talking about, the LEED. There is a US Green Building Council. We are going to achieve this certification with the 4 certifications levels are there, where with the different points like the 40 to 49 points, like different points you can see here. So these are the points with respect to that you are going to get the rating. So now this rating is completely based on the few percentage, the weightage has been given for the few of the points. where 20% weightage has been given to the materials and the resources, 25% is for the energy and the atmosphere, and 7% is for the water efficiency, and 20% is for the sustainable sites, and 7% is for the innovation and the design process, and 21% is for the indoor environmental quality. So these are actually the lead points. You can see here there is a cast in situ, steel, wood, and the precast also, where the precast is going to satisfy many of these points. So let us see what exactly the first point here is: a site development, product, or restore habitat. The requirements, they are met by limiting the site disturbance. This is with respect to the site disturbance. So here what we can use is the precast concrete structures like the manholes. In order to achieve this point, you can use this. Since the precast concrete is a sound wall system and it is manufactured from the offsite, and it is delivered on the as per the demand, right? So there is a reduction in the traffic, or you can tell about the dust, noise. So by this, we can try up achieving this point. The next point is the site develop maximize the open space. The credit for this point is to provide the high ratio of the open space to the development footprint. In the sense, the skeleton of the structure, what we are talking about, it should be of the minimum section. The section is less, then the open space of the open space will be more. So that high ratio of the open space should be there. Next, we already talked about the heat island effect. Actually, to reduce the heat islands, in order to minimize the impacts of this micro climates, and it's on the human, or it can be on the wildlife habitats. So there are some specially made precast concrete, which will be of which is used in the hardscape or in the pavements. In order to achieve these points, you can use this product. Next is a minimum energy efficient performance. So all the buildings, it is compiled with the sections on the building energy efficiency and the performance. For that, we have to refer few of the codes like ANSI, ASTRIA, AISHNA. These are the codes with respect to the energy performance. It is there. We have to follow these codes, and we can use the sandwich panels as sandwich panels. Precast sandwich panel walls can be used in order to achieve this point, because the insulating it plays a main role over here. Next, the building reuse maintains 55%, 75%, 95% of the existing shell. So precast concrete panels, it can be reused when buildings are like expanded, and concrete pieces from the demolished structures. Also, it can be reused in the like other applications, because the precast process is like we can call it as a self-contained. The finishing materials, it can be reused. So while concrete steel forms have practically unlimited service life for this. So next is the construction waste management, which is divert 50%, 75% by the weight of the volume. For this point, the precast can be designed to optimize or lessen the amount of the concrete used. In the plant, the precast concrete generates low amounts of the waste, and the waste generated has a low toxicity. So that points can be satisfied with respect to the precast. With respect to this credit. Then next is the recycled content. So in precast concrete, industrial waste such as the slag, we talked about the slag, the silica fume, it can be incorporated into the mix in order to reduce the amount of the cement, which in turn it reduces the carbon dioxide emissions. Yeah, that is one important point. And the next is the local or the regional materials. So the use of this materials is going to reduce the transportation needs for heavy building materials. Okay, along with the like associated energy and the emissions. So most precast concrete plants, it will be within that range, like 200 miles. The cement aggregates and the reinforcing steel, it will be fabricated or precasted concrete components. It is usually extracted from the within that 200 miles. Then the construction indoor air quality management plan, and during the construction, so that the concrete contains here this actually it should be with the negligible VOCs, that is a volatile organic compounds. So these compounds degrade the indoor air quality, right? So when they off gas from the manufactured wood products or such as the, like laminate, particle board or the hardboard, like those all things. So the concrete is not damaged by the moisture, right? And does not provide nutrients for the mold growth. So that is also achieved. This point can also be achieved. So there is one more thing. It is an innovative in design. So precast concrete applications, it could contribute in, it can implement in a new intelligent solutions like in the heating and the cooling system, heating systems, in the indoor air quality, or in the pollution prevention. Those all things we can use it. So coming to the types of the lead, we have talked about the lead which is globally from the US, that's the United States. But for the different countries, we have the different rating systems. Like in the United Kingdom, we have the building research establishment, environmental assessment method is there. For United States, it is a leadership in energy and environmental design. And for the Canada, it is Green Globes, and the Australia, it is a Green Star. And for the Hong Kong, it is building environmental assessment method. And for the Taiwan, it is the ecological community evaluation system. And for the South Korea, it's a green building certification system. And for the Japan, it's a CASP, that's a comprehensive assessment system for building environment efficiency. And coming to the India, we have a GRIHA, okay, a rating system, green rating for the integrated habitat assessment. So especially in India, we are going to use a two rating system. One is a LEED, okay, LEED India, and the GRIHA. So when we're talking about the LEED India, since how this rating system's been considered, it is the per capita energy consumption. It is as per the per capita energy consumption, and we know that the US, as the United States, is a developed country, and the per capita energy consumption is more compared to the India's per capita energy consumption. So, so it is as per the standards we have considered the lead is of the different energy consumption rate is being identified. But for the GRIHA, it is as per the Indian climatology. Like you can take an example, the GRIHA, it is not going to consider certain products like the glass and the air conditioning equipment. If you are considered in your particular project, then it is not going to consider that. So these are the points which can be considered for the lead. So it all depends upon the per capita energy consumption. And next applications. Here we have a study of the applications with respect to the India. So with the concept of this green buildings, actually it is gaining much of the prominence in India. So the developers actually now they are focusing on this developing structures like eco-friendly or by using this energy efficient techniques. So they are doing this. So the first the structure we can see here is an ITC Green Center, which is at Gurgaon. So this structure, it is spread over around 1,80,000 square feet. Mm, so this is one of the benchmark for the green buildings in India. It is actually located in Gurgaon. The building, it has awarded a platinum LEED, okay, making it the first corporate house in India to get this award. And the building is designed keeping in mind the highest environmental standards. It is made up of the bricks and the concrete. Why actually they have been certified? These are the points actually. This is made up of the bricks and the concrete. It is comprising of the fly ash and the high efficiency equipment. It's being used here, which is going to reduce the 53% of the energy consumption of this complete conventional building, and 40% of the it is going to reduce the 40% of potable water requirements. And coming to the water discharge, zero water discharge here. So means the recycling is playing the main role here. Solar thermal technology has been used, stormwater management system being used, reflective like this roof paint has been used. minimum exterior lighting, and there will be a separate smoking zones are being set for the with the exhaust system. So these all things it's been adopted in the ITC Green Center, which is at Gurgaon. The next structure is a Suzlon One Earth, which is at Pune, with a capacity to accommodate like 2,300 people. One Earth is the another building which also have received the platinum certification for the LEED, and the building is built using the low energy materials like materials, and they are reducing the carbon footprint. There's 90% of this occupied space of the building, it has access to the natural daylight. While the exterior of the building, it uses the renewable energy based like LED street lights, okay, street lightnings, reducing approximately 25% of this total power. The ventilation system, here there is a ventilation system which consists of the jet fans, okay, where you can save 50% of the energy by pushing out of the stale air and bringing in the fresh air. Um, the next is a Patni, this is iGate Knowledge Center at Noida. It is awarded with a prestigious LEED Platinum rating. Again, Patni Knowledge Center, it is one of the next on the list of the green buildings in India. So the area which is being covered is 4,60,000 square feet, and the building depth is designed in such a way that it captures daylight for 75% of the occupied interiors, and about 50% of the area is reserved for this open green space. And in addition to that, this the campus is going to follow like efficient water management practices like the rain harvesting, solar water heating, and the drip irrigation. So complete 100% of sewage is treated here, and it is the water is recycled. And this recycled water, like it is used for the cooling the tower, like gardening, flushing, and all. It's being used. Next is an Olympia Tech Park, which is at Chennai. It is located in the heart of the Chennai, and this tech park has become one of the biggest IT parks in the Chennai. The tech park actually houses MNCs that operates day and night. Day and night working means an extreme energy is used, so which is why the energy saving features are adopted here, and eco-friendly environment becomes very necessary here. So rated, it is also rated as a gold LEED rating. Previous what we have seen is also platinum rated. Here this structure is gold rated. Um, in the world, actually in the world it is gold LEED rating building. And the building makes use of energy and water saving techniques like rainwater harvesting and recycling, and to attain the 0% discharge. They have used the dual plumbing line, okay, not to treat that grey water, it's used to water for flushing and for the irrigation. Next is an Infinity benchmark, which is at Calcutta. So this is also LEED Platinum level certified, and it has in the area of 5,60,000 square feet. It is it has 20 stories, and the air quality inside the building is maintained by carbon dioxide monitoring sensors and intelligent humidification controls. So external walls of the building, it is made up of brick wall block, while the roof has underdeck like a thick polyurethane foam will be there for the insulation purpose, the better insulation, and an environmental friendly technique is also used, like the electric cars within the campus. They are going to use this electric cars. Um, Energy efficient equipment and wastewater cycling. These all systems being adapted here. The next is a Crisil House, which is at Mumbai. So this is like with 14 gardens, which is inside the complex. The Crisil House is rated as one of the greenest commercial complexes in India. So the interiors of this building, it is made up of the recycled construction material, while the atrium, or you can the center of the building, it allows the natural light to seep in, covering 70% of the work area. Normally at night, energy efficient artificial lighting is used, thus reducing the carbon footprint. And the natural lighting technique has helped to reduce the power consumption, like 40% it's been reduced. You can see the reduction in the power consumption. Next type of the building is an Indira Paryavaran Bhavan. So this is actually located at the Jodh Bagh, which is at New Delhi, and this is an 8-story structure. It is also LEED certified and platinum LEED certified, and even it is BREEAM certified, 5-star rating. So BREEAM, it is with respect to the stars. It has different stages like a first star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, and the 5-star. So this is a 5-star rating. Mm, the building uses the geothermal heat here. In this building, the geothermal heat exchange system has been adopted in order to reduce the power required to in order to run the air conditioners and all, and the recycles also all its water as reducing the water demand. That being took place 50% reduction being done. And then the next is the ITC Maurya Hotel, which is at New Delhi. So this is the world's first and the largest LEED platinum rated hotel. Okay, as per the hotel, it is a first LEED certified platinum hotel. It is going to use the parabolic solar concentrators. It is also awarded as a best eco-friendly hotel at the National Tourism Awards. And the main reason is here it is recycles almost about 99% of its solid waste by the recycling programs or the composting programs. So 99% of the solid waste, hotels means you can imagine a number of the wastes are more. So solid wastes will be maximum. So the 99% can be, it is recycled. And over 30% of the food, what the beverages they are going to consider, they've been harvested and this process within the radius of 160 kilometers. So they are going to harvest and they are going to process within a radius, that radius. And other thing is, it uses the low volatile organic compounds, like the paints. Coming to the way when we're talking about the volatile things, this is regarding the paints. So that the low volatile organic paints is used here. Next is Infosys Hyderabad. This is the winner of the UK's prestigious awards. So it is also known as that Green Oscars. Okay. So Infosys has given a new height to energy efficiency as the world knows it. The software actually it is in the range of 460 acres in Hyderabad, and it becomes the laboratory to test the construction technologies. So in this campus, we have like 3 more blocks is there, the software development blocks. There's 3 blocks, it is LEED platinum certified. So buildings in this campus, it's being constructed along with the like passive design principles. We can say the passive design principles such as minimizing the heat and the glare, like by situating the windows, white painted roofs, and radiant cooling technology like pumping cold water through the pipes embedded in the concrete. And the building uses the efficient building envelope, like that includes a high performance glazing, ample shading, radiant cooling. Okay, these are the things. And energy efficient lighting, and even the heat, ventilation, and the air conditioning system. It's being achieved in order for the energy efficiency. The next is a Cisco building, Bangalore. So this also has been awarded the platinum LEED. Okay, the certification it is from the again USGBC for scoring 96 out of 110 total points. Normally for the commercial buildings, here you can, if possible, it is visible the total possible points. Means as I told you that the different categories. So with respect to that, there will be some weightage, percentage of weightage will be there, and based on that, they are going to declare this much of points. So with out of 110 total points, they have secured 96. The campus it it sources actually more than 70 lakh kilowatt of the green power that is per annum. It's per annum, and it recycles 100% of the wastewater. So it has high energy, like high performance glazing and the energy efficient track design, and uses recycled materials and renewable materials for the construction. Ventilation and temperature is going to control the enable the occupants and approximately 51% of it to adjust the temperatures according to their preferences. They can as per that. So this is one of the LEED rating building. And next we can conclude from the above points, we can conclude that the sustainable practices, it is contribute to saving materials and the energy and reducing the negative effects of the pollutants. And the use of this precast concrete, it contributes to the practices incorporating the integrated design, using materials like efficiently, using the materials efficiently and reducing the construction waste. Even in the period of time, we can expect the cost to be reduced because the maintenance cost will be too less, site disturbance and the noise. And precast concrete structures, they are of resistant to fires, wind, hurricanes, floods, earthquakes, wind driven rain, and the moisture damage. And light or the natural colored concrete reduces the heat islands, thereby reducing the outdoor temperatures, saving the energy and reducing smog. And recycled materials such as a fly ash, slag cement, silica fume, and recycled aggregates, it can be incorporated into the concrete, thereby reducing the amount of materials that are taken to landfills and reducing the use of the virgin materials. So, okay. And the precast concrete can help a project to earn up to 23 LEED points, okay, for the certification. So this is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we are having our question answer section. There are some questions in chat box. Ma'am, first question is pre-stressed and the precast concrete are same.
Precast, pre-stressed and precast concrete.
Yes, ma'am.
So no, the precast in the sense here in the pre-stressed concrete we are using the tensile wires, the stress tendons being used here. With respect to that, the strength parameter will also increase. So they are not same. It is different.
Thank you. Next question, why it is mentioned green side?
Green side, we want to talk about the eco-friendly and we want to talk about the sustainability, how it is like advantageous to the mankind as well as to the nature, to the Mother Earth. So this is mentioned as a green.
Okay, ma'am. Third question is there any replacement for coarse aggregate in green building?
Yeah, there is. In the green building, yeah, the coarse aggregates can be replaced. Even the materials which already been used, it can be recycled and it can be reused also.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, all. Now we have reached an end to today's webinar. On behalf of Department of Civil Engineering, Jyoti Engineering College, I take this opportunity to thank all who have contributed to the webinar. The Green Side of Precast Concrete, organized by the Department of Civil Engineering in association with Indian Concrete Institute, Jyoti Engineering College. At the outset, I thank our guest of honor and resource person, Ms. Nandita Pal, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, BMS College of Engineering, Bangalore. We are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence. We are grateful to our campus head, principal, Civil Engineering Department HOD, and the coordinators of the event. Our heartfelt thanks to all the participants for their active participation. Thank you all.
Thank you. Hope the session was useful.